That stream pre-show thing. Do I need to do like a YouTube intro right now if I think I'm gonna make this into a YouTube piece of content? I don't know. I haven't even looked through this. I'll just do a quick intro. Oh, I gotta turn off my music too. Close this. Turn off my music. You're gonna stick around to like give your input on this resume? No pressure. No pressure. What is the context that I got for this? Feedback on someone attempt to get this job. Evil genius. Okay. All right, today we got another resume from Marshall. He wants to apply, or has applied, I'm not really sure, to a community manager position at Evil Geniuses. And I actually have the job application here. And what I'm going to do first is actually like quickly skim through this. Oh, that's like really small. Oh, we're going to zoom in. And then from there, kind of have a better idea of what to do with the resume. All right, so this is in Seattle. That's cool. Evil Genius is shaped in the history of esports, blah, 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 our success, blah. We always fight to make our space a place for all. Join us and live evil. As a community manager. All right, here we go. Let's get to the meat of it. As a community manager, you'll be the curator of a fan experience and social engagement strategy for EG. Okay, yeah. This will include coordinating our social media strategy alongside our director of marketing, being on the ground face of the organization, and helping to coordinate all events. You will report to our director of marketing and will own the budget and execution of player fan engagement and advocacy, community projects, and communication efforts. We are looking for someone with strong communication skills, a keen interest in creatively upholding and living a brand voice, and flexibility. Leadership and management skills are a plus, as you'll be leading a team of social media coordinators, interns, and volunteers. Oh, hello. Welcome to the Casual Club. Hyper Monkey Boy. We had one from Hangry 90. That was an old one. Also, thank you for the follow, Broken Torah. Those two are old. What's up, Hyper Monkey Boy? Just so you know, I just started. Pre-show's finished. Me and Strider have been chilling out for a little bit. Oh, we got Hangry 99 actually in here too. Wow. So you followed 10 hours ago, and then you actually chimed in when the stream went live. That's crazy. Thank you so much. Yeah, so if you guys just joined, I don't know. We're going through resume review, the first one. Pre-show's done. Me and Strider were just chatting along about a lot of things. But let's continue. Responsibilities: curating and executing our social media strategy aligned with the brand voice and our department goals. Managing a team of social media coordinators, interns, and volunteers. Department events, social media strategy. Okay, I don't want to read all this. Moderating, engaging with fans. Okay, Twitter, Instagram, Discord. Serve as voice of the fans. Yep. Developing our strategy for events and tournaments. Yep. Work with partnership team. Sponsor activations, runs activations. Managing a fan engagement budget. Provide pacing and strategy reports. That's cool. I don't know what that is. Procuring, negotiating, managing team contracted teams and vendor. Okay, wait, don't you have a like team manager or a GM or something for this? Working with business operations and creative teams to manage the inventory of swag. Collaborate with partners. Okay, so it's interesting right here because I like this because at first it sounds like this is a job where you have a ton of different things, right? Oh, okay, gotcha. So that's why you're tuning in. Okay, so something interesting about this is that it sounds like there's a lot of different things, right? And it sounds like, and okay, yeah. So it sounds like a really high level position at first because there's so many different tasks. But I think with their wording, basically talking about like when you're working with or collaborating with, that's when it says like you're not necessarily in charge of figuring all this stuff out. Like you're not in charge of getting all the swag and maybe passing it all out and like figuring out what swag we need, but you're working with business operations and creative, so they might make some decisions and you have to um, just make sure you know how much we have to reorder when it's low, those kind of, like it's, and then like keep track of how much we can give away for giveaways, tailgates, those kind of things. While something you have managing a fan budget, which this also might not be, you might not be deciding your budget and strategy reports. Someone above you, director of marketing, might be providing this. So then it, this is not like as big of a responsibility to carry out like all budgeting information. Although this one's a pretty big one, developing our strategy. So this is like definitely under your responsibilities. So the reason why I'm making this distinction is I think the ones where you are in charge of like developing the strategy are the key points you want to focus on, right? If you're tailoring your resume and you're like, okay, I need to show that I can like deal with a budget. I need to show that I can, I know how to work with fan engagement. I need to show that I can moderate and manage team. Like there's so many different lists of things, and you don't want to water down your resume. You want to be like, hey, I'm capable because of like these 2 points or like these 3 points. I think what you're focusing on are the big ones where they want you to like own projects rather than like um just execute projects where people have set you up for, hopefully set you up for success, like this managing a fan engagement budget or something. And to be honest, when it comes down to it, when you get hired, it might not be like, maybe you end up doing more than this is actually saying, but this is how they've shaped the resume or the job posting, and they probably want, that's what they're looking for at this point. Hello, St. Just Germany. Welcome to chat. All right, all right. Oh, LCS rehearsal. That's exciting. I always wanted to sit in and see what that's like. I actually got to see in 2014, 15, somewhere around there. I think season 3, season 4. I got to get a tour of the observer stations and all the production stuff at LCS Arena because I applied for a job, got 3 interviews, got flown out, and botched the on-site interview. So I got to like meet some people and talk to them and see how they did run the live show. It was pretty cool. I bet a lot of things have changed though since then. Even I talked to an observer and like it sounds like things are different. Oh, that's you. I can't like, Twitch names versus Twitter names are different. And then like yeah, that's funny. All right, continuing on requirements. Be able to travel to both milestone events and activations, as well as be close to our players. Experience in executing and developing projects and programs on schedule and on a budget. Event management and logistics. Knowledge in building a team focused on fan and community service. Oh, this is probably like those interns and stuff that you would be managing. Somewhere managing a team of social media coordinators, volunteers, and interns. Yep. So that's what that's probably referring to. Where did I go? Ability to navigate and analyze information to quickly and clearly work through key issues and problems and opportunities to relay complex information and ideas to teams for execution. Excellent business judgment, problem solving, decision making ability, proven ability to think outside the box and innovate. Be bold, be unique, be fearless, be genius. It's kind of weird that they did. This is capitalized. I mean, if you're gonna capitalize, might as well capitalize genius too. It doesn't matter. Oh, so you can apply on LinkedIn. That's really nice. If you guys ever press this apply on LinkedIn with the LinkedIn button, you gotta like make sure your LinkedIn profile is like clean. I'm not a big fan of this unless you're proud of your LinkedIn profile. Like you really, really did it. Your Twitch and Twitter are the same, so I have no excuse for being off. Huh. Is that true? All right. I'm just. Oh, it's because your Twitter profile name is different. Your handle is different from your handle. I still have an excuse because I didn't look at the handle. Okay. Um. So my first thoughts is that this is a cool job. I like it. You have some big responsibilities in the community manager's position. I think the job posting is pretty good on itself too. I think these requirements are what you can really like lean on to make sure you like nail as many of these bullet points without watering down your resume. So let's go into it. We'll just refer to that a lot. So Marshall. Esports experience. So okay, actually let's do first impressions with the resume. It is 2 pages. Been around. I don't like 2-page resumes. I'm actually gonna do a video. It's scheduled and it'll be posted on Tuesday, I believe. About 2-page resumes. Quick TLDR: 2-page resumes, especially for a more entry level position, which this doesn't necessarily say it's entry level, but I would say most esports jobs that are about community management are probably entry level to maybe mid. Because I think the higher levels would be like community director or like I don't know what it'd be called actually. I can't remember. So for entry level positions, I think 1-page resumes are great. There's multiple things that can happen. I know it's mostly digital, but for example, I could have only seen one because this actually looks like the end of a resume. So for some reason, I might only just see one. When I have someone like Evil Geniuses where they are hiring like crazy, they're probably getting tons of resumes. And when I see a 2-page resume, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to read all that. That being said, I love the spacing on this. There's like white space, and I was actually really excited when I first saw this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it like gets straight to the point. There's a lot of white space. It's not too much text, and I'm like really excited to see what they're gonna like, how they're gonna sell me in the first like few lines. And then I realize it's 2 pages. I'm like, oh, but it's not the worst 2-page resume I've seen. This is actually a decent 2-page resume, like again with the spacing and stuff. But first impression, get it down to 1 page. What happens is people read the resume, and their highest attention is to be given to the top. And as they move down the resume, they're giving less and less attention. And by the time they get to the bottom, they don't care anymore, or they've already decided if they want to like talk to you or not. So then getting to the second page, that's just like, this is such unimportant information to me when it comes to my what's the word I'm looking for? My attention span, I would say. All right. But I really like the resume, the way it looks. It's super clean, lots of white space. It seems really organized. I can quickly look esports experience. One, I'm like, it's not just experience. He has esports experience. That's cool. Education, community involvement. I'm not 100% sure I know what this is, but that's okay. I think it's fine. And then other work experience. And if this stuff is important, I feel like you can include it in here. Like, I want to see more work experience if it's relative to proving your job. Oh, 63 applicants for the position on LinkedIn. That's a lot. So if I had to go through 126 resumes or pages versus 63 pages, that's a big difference of how much content I have to cover, right? So that person that has to do, unless they have a full person that's full time, like looking through resumes, that's gonna be really hard to deal with. Morning. All right, let's dig through it. Esports experience. Aquinas College Varsity Esports Program. Coach, Rocket League. Okay, so right away I'm just like, coach. I could see how that would be helpful because you know how to work with players. So for live events, especially because Evil Genius has mentioned that. Achievements. Finalists. That's really cool. Summary. It's part of the first year of the the program, I created data analysis tools for the Rocket League team, created format and content for program-wide player development plans, advised other coaches, helped run events. The esports lab took part in recruiting efforts and ran practices. Additionally, at NACE National Finals, I ensured the safety of players, executed itinerary. Okay, so this is really cool. This part sounds really, really relevant to a community manager position, like what they're looking for, and making sure you know how to deal with players. I think this is all really well written too. I'm not a fan of these sentence paragraphs. I'd rather have bullet points. But that being said, good resumes still do this. I think this is perfectly fine. I don't understand how data analysis tools for the team is applicable or helpful for this job. I bet there's ways to shape it and explain that in an interview, but on the resume, it doesn't come across. I don't think that's as relevant as this last sentence. I think that's more important than anything else you said first. Okay. Grand Valley State University Esports Club founder and president. Now this is really interesting too. 318 members upon departure, conflict resolution, meeting development, community building, competitive team management. Okay, so it's a community management position. This bullet point community building should be at the top. And I want actually a sentence. I want more about this because you're just saying I did community building, which is good. But what would be better is if you said like how you did community building, especially how it lines up with the job application. If you're able to say this, like something about social media, if you're able to talk about as a founder, like how you built teams of literally volunteers, how you aligned the brand voice and met some goals that you done for the club. Because I also don't know what this does. What is this esports club? Is this a club where everyone gets on Discord and talks about watch LCS every weekend? Or is this something where you meet and throw events? Those kind of things. I think that's really important that you're missing out on. Like I want to know so much more about this. And it's not there. Especially because this feels like this is going to show what your community management skills are rather than a coach of a team. Because yeah, the whole coach part is just one small bullet point, which I don't think is as important compared to the other responsibilities and requirements this position is asking for. Education. Okay, so this is good. Decent GPA or good GPA. Status. Honor student, that's good. When do you graduate? Oh, so you graduated already. Okay, so you're still coaching pretty much. Major related coursework. So do they care that you've done discrete math, database, data structure, algorithm? This is really cool. I personally want to know about this, but do they care about your computer science degree when it comes to your job posting? It's nice to know that you have a college education and you did well in college. That's important. But do they care about your AI experience, your operating system, their discrete mathematics? Like your major related coursework is not important, or I don't see it being important. Instructor, business, financial accountant. This could be like this is saying like you know how to communicate. Those talk about budgeting, but maybe this stays in. I could see a reason for cutting it just because I feel like the only thing I want to know from this is you went to university, you got a good GPA, and you're an honor student. Like that says a lot to me just on itself, right? And especially since I would say our goal is to condense this down to one page, I would say you can cut that out, the coursework stuff. Community involvement, consultant for Grand Rapids Rift Clash. Cool. Don't know what that is. Competition Council for Michigan Esports Conference. That sounds really cool. I may or may not know what that is. I don't personally know what that is. And I don't know what competition council is. Volunteer, and I'll say most people in esports or that are in LA. I guess this is in Seattle, but in LA, let's say, a lot of people have just been in California. I realize, and it's weird because some people have said like, oh, they've only met people that are not in LA, and some people say like only people that have been in LA their whole life. So yeah, so anything outside like Chicago and all those kind of things are, yeah. Volunteer with Intel at IEM Chicago 2019. So, depending on what your volunteer role is, because I know sometimes it could be, yeah, see, Hyper Monkey Boy, only lived in LA. So there's volunteer with Intel. This could have been a really simple volunteer role where there's not much to talk about. And you did it for, just to have some fun, meet some people, network. But if you got some skills out of this, if you got some experience out of this, let's put that up into esports experience. Put it in there. Or expound on it. You actually ran an event for Intel Gaming. That's a big deal because this is also talking about event coordination, right? That was somewhere in here. Event management and logistics. That's a big bullet point. And I feel like you don't want to include it up in here because it doesn't fit into esports experience. Like just instead, maybe just label it esports experience just to get people to like think about it. And even if it's not esports experience, which I believe it is, it's IEM, like stick it in there. That's a big deal. If you ran an event, like, oh, you need to put that in there. So I want to see that up. I want to see that in there because this is not, when it comes to this position, this is not the most impressive thing. I think running an event for Intel Gaming is the most impressive thing that you've told me so far. Also, being a founder and president of something is an impressive thing too. Even though maybe like you got more experience here. I mean, unless this is specific for like a Rocket League community management position, which I doubt. I'm guessing you're going to be doing a lot of different games and a lot of different communities. But knowing that you know Rocket League is important because that means you know the voice in the community of Rocket League. So that's valuable. But that's not, I don't think that needs to go into your resume necessarily. So yeah, volunteer, get that up here. Create the Michigan Esports Council. So like you've done some cool, really cool stuff that you need to put and expound on. I want to know. I feel like every single one of these are really, really like big bullet points that you're skimming over like they're small bullet points. Oh yeah, this is your talking about your game competencies, which I think is really extraneous, and you can put this on here. I think it's cool. It just like you said, like you put it, it should be like the last thing they notice. But it's weird because I think you put it as a footer because it goes into the second page too, which that's kind of odd. So in response, I didn't think about that because I wasn't really supposed to be running the event, but once I got there, it was clear that there was not. Okay, so this is interesting. Well, exactly what you're saying is what you talk about in your interview or maybe a cover letter. Because one, also, you don't want to flame anyone, right? And I think there's a right way to word that where it's like, oh, I noticed that there was a little bit of lack of direction because people were so busy and I realized the staff was like just overwhelmed. So I proactively said, hey, I could provide these things, like, and therefore they gave me more responsibility. Like that is so big because it shows one, like you're really proactive, which everyone loves. Everyone loves that because that's what people need. And in esports, I firmly believe, and I think that's how we hire Golden Guards. We're not just looking for people to like clock in and clock out and do their job and don't say anything. We're looking for people that are like Even our video editors that are hired to edit videos, like we want them to know more, come up with ideas, come up with creative content ideas, figure out ways to interweave freelancers in their work. Like we don't want someone that's just doing the job and getting out. So you being proactive is a huge, huge deal. And like, I would even like, even let's say were brought in to volunteer to help man a booth, and that was your job title. I would even change your job title when it comes to volunteer. Like you could, depending on what you did, you could just say like, you coordinated. You're a community manager for an IEM Chicago 2019, right? You could just say that, and then like talk about how you're a community manager. Because if that's the best way to describe what you did, I think that's perfectly fine. Oh, I'm so glad you're here to give context to this resume as we're doing it. That's really, really cool. Okay, let's move into the second page. Other work experience. And this is, remember, if we don't need to list everything you've done just to like necessarily show like your whole like history. It's not a bill of history. You just need to like prove to them in your resume that they want to interview you because you're qualified, right? So if this stuff isn't relevant to the job, cut it. Okay, now let's read through it. Soft touch house washing, owner and operator. That's a big deal. Gross profit. That is so cool. I would also put a dollar sign. One, because my eye might go out of order and just be drawn like $30,000. What is he talking about $30,000 for? This is really, 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 really cool. When we've talked about don't just say what you did, but talk about the impact that you've created. This is exactly how like $30,000. And this is a funny way of doing things, right? I would have usually done it if I just stuck with the normal resumes, like owner and operator of like house washing company, soft touch, like something like that, right? And then put bullet points like, oh, dude, blah 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 blah. We grossly yearly profit of 30,000. No, that's how I'd like usually do it, but this like just gets to the point, which I really really appreciate and like, and I don't care that it's like doesn't follow a standard format, because again, you're just telling me what I want to know, and I love that it's just right there. So the things that you did was customer acquisition, handling payments and receivables, scheduling team jobs, website development, creating, sending quotes, equipment maintenance. So I think this is huge, and you did this for going on 8 years now. This is really really big. This is so important because this shows something, like you built something and created something on your own. This is huge. Now it's not like specifically esports related, but this tells me so much about you, right? So I want to see this probably not at the top because it's not esports related, but like I still want to see it above your education. And I would think about it's your least see that, like that's really cool. You tell me that in an interview, like this is you do not like this. You do not like doing this, but you've done it for 8 years because you grind and hustle and you needed to make money, or you needed to make ends meet, or whatever reason. But you tell me through the interview. That's cool. So now the thing I would say about this is you're listing off the things that you've done, like responsibilities. Why not treat this the same way you treated your summary here? What if you summarize this in a sentence or two that said the things that were related to the job posting here? Because right, you talked about dealing with money, you talked about building a team, social media. Maybe you use social media. Maybe you talked about brand and department goals. Maybe you've talked about strategies. Again, logistics. Like this. That's what this thing is huge. Like this is telling me you're really organized. You're organized enough to run things. So that's what I want to see in here. And that's the thing, like because you're the owner and operator and probably like I've done everything here. coming to like the small nitty gritty stuff to like the big level stuff, you have to pick and choose what you want to talk about and what all your sentences and everything you talk about, like what that means to the person that's looking at your resume and looking for someone to fit their job. Because like website development is not as important unless you want to use it to talk about brand, which you could. But again, like I don't want you to say like, here are the 6 things I've done, and then the hiring manager being like, oh, this is long and boring, versus like I accomplished these 2 things which you're looking for, and being like, oh, I love this person, right? Because again, this is not to tell like everything you've done. It's to tell the hiring manager, like the person that's gonna hire and reading your resume, like interview me, give me an interview. So you don't need to tell them everything. You just need to tell them what they. You just need to prove that you're worth having a conversation with, an interview with. Genentech software engineer laid off to COVID-19 cuts. I don't know how I feel about this. I get why you did it because it's a short time period. But even as I've been looking through this, I've realized like I don't look at how long people have been doing stuff. That's like one of the last things I look, and that's why I like it being shifted all the way to the right, because it's so. I just care. I want to know like if you can do the job, and if I like you, and if I see potential. And then later I'm like, oh, like for example, oh, you graduated, okay, blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, are you still in school? And then I looked at the date. Right? So I think that's how a lot of people look at these. Like, he did this thing, okay, cool. He did this thing. Oh, how long was he founder and president for? And then I look at the date. So I don't think you need to say you're laid off due to COVID cuts. It explains things, and that's something you can talk about in your interview when they ask. But I think this takes attention away and fills up more space that's just not necessary. Hired after, and because this is an internship, sorry. But yeah, I still think that makes sense. You could even combine. I was thinking you might be able to combine these 2, but maybe not. You could. Just to save room. Okay, anyway, hired after internship to develop web applications, APIs, and services. Primarily worked on web apps, worked with customers to understand the specific needs, product force, deadlines, release tested code to the floor, experience creating robust tests to ensure quality code. Okay, so nothing there says community manager to me. Working with customers, communication, and that kind of stuff could be, but it doesn't. It took me a while it took me a bit to think about like how could this fit into the job, which you don't want the hiring manager to have to do it. You want the hiring manager to be like, this person can fit. Wow, I can totally see it, without like having to think and force it. Intern treated, and then another weird thing is your internship experience looks bigger than your full-time experience. That's a little funny. Not the biggest deal, but for some reason this seemed more important than this because it was longer, just subconsciously. Treated as full-time developer and published code on the production floor. In the first year, I worked on acronym stuff, worked with customers to improve the UX of our largest project. 2 years. Ooh, okay, so as a non-software developer, like it lost my interest really, really quickly because I don't know these acronyms. I kind of do actually, but so again, like this stuff, you're putting in there because it's part of your work experience, and you want to talk about all your work experiences and be like, hey, look, I've worked so much, right? I think you've already told me, like I've already seen before I got to this, like this stuff that I see you work really hard and you're smart. So I might even like combine these 2 and then put one sentence, like if you want to say I did software engineer developer stuff. Obviously not like that, but that's what the sentence would say, without even talking about, for example, the acronym alphabet soup or whatever. Maybe you use that one sentence or bullet point to say like how this might be relevant to Evil Genius's community manager position. Or you can just say like, hey, I worked as a software engineer and did a good job and accomplished things. And not verbatim, in the way that you see fit. Grand Valley State University resident assistant. An RA. So that's like it was weird. In my college we called them house fellows. But this is a person that like uh lives in the dorm and watches over and deals with like student issues and making sure that everyone's safe and uh has someone to ask questions to or talk to, right? This is community manager. Now that I think about it, it's a community manager position. So talk about this. So are those worth positions worth keeping on my resume? The Gentex stuff. And my perfectionist side, well, I want to say like yes because like I want them to know that I worked and did real stuff and like my college education was like important. But like when I read this, I'm like I don't fully care. Like it might be good to say like I was working during this time. I got an internship and Gentex. I feel like I know that name, but honestly, if I haven't heard it, I feel like the hiring manager at AZ won't recognize Gentex. But I really think this RA stuff is more relevant than this to the community management position. You did it for 2 years. That's a lot of time. So you've always been hustling, and like it's really cool to see someone that like you said you paid off your university fees. That's really really cool, and I respect that. And any if a CEO or like someone really high up sees this kind of stuff, like working at McDonald's for 7 years, like working hard because you're making like, I know subconsciously or like the subtext that kind of stuff because I'm like that person works hard and needed to pay for things, and that's really really commendable. Make car windows, car mirrors. I feel like okay, I got a tangent. I feel like I do know Gentex. Let me see there. Ah, hmm. I'm sure I've run into Gentex before. I remember I used to be an engineer, so like those kind of companies randomly I've run into, whether like trying to use their parts or fixing my car, those kind of things. Okay, so yeah, I feel like this stuff should not require 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines in your resume, and then plus a space. That's the issue I have with this. You can, if you have room, you can fit it in there to get your point across of like, I'm smart and I've done this stuff, but it's like the lowest thing that you need to see. Um, yeah, I would say that's like the approach. This RA thing, this your soft touch house watching thing are so much more important when I'm thinking about hiring for a community manager. If I'm trying to put myself in the evil genius's shoes, that's more important to me than this stuff. So, in conclusion, how can we get this down to one page? I think this might be able to be shortened. I feel like, oh, that's really cool. Coach of the year. How important is that? I think you can keep that. Okay, so I think depending on when you write out this community involvement stuff and what your relevant experiences of those are, because I feel like that could take up a lot of space. This should be just like one line. You could even put honor students like in parentheses after your GPA or something like that. So then this is just like one line and plus a date. It could be small. You can even make it small like a competitive. I think you can get rid of the competitive game competencies. I would like an executive summary on your resume. That might be really hard, but I would really, really like it. So right away, because you're telling me that you've owned your own business, you've made money and made it profitable. You've done community management stuff when it came to uh, your esports club stuff, your RA stuff. You've managed many things, people, budget stuff with your business. Like if I knew that from the first line, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so interested in this person. If that's like 3 sentences or 2 sentences right from the start, I would be willing to like, I wouldn't even think. If I'm giving every resume 30 seconds and I read that, I'd be like, okay, I don't need to read the rest. This is going to, if I'm a hiring manager, I don't know how Evil Geniuses work, but if I'm just a hiring manager looking through resumes, I put that in the pile to send to whoever is actually making the decision on who to hire. I'm just sifting through resumes. I'd automatically put that in the yes pile to go to the second round of like looking at resumes. Because I want to send maybe like if we have 100 resumes, quickly look through them, put a pile of like 20 to send off or to look at tomorrow to like actually give like more than 30 seconds, maybe a minute or like 5 minutes to look through. So if you're able to put that in your executive summary, if you're able to do that, like that's a big deal to me. I think you should have a summary at the top. And then from there, make this smaller. Expound on this. Make this smaller. Expound on this. Just make this about, like, I think you can make this maybe 2 lines by just really focusing on what you want to get across. Make this 1 line, 2 lines. Expound on this a little bit. And then now I'm kind of thinking, have you ever heard of a functional resume? Functional resume is what I was exploring when I was doing esports resumes too. Instead of sorting by reverse chronological order, you sort by skills. Now, I don't think you need to like completely revamp your resume because this is a lot of work, and like when it comes to esports jobs, you gotta hurry up and apply. And I can't even zoom into this. But yeah, this is sort of please. It's sorted by skills and abilities. So it talks about management, sales, communication, leadership, and then you talk about like how you do it. I kind of think your resume could be a little bit like that or take inspiration from that. What you can do is be like, what do I want Evil Genius to know about my Rocket League coaching experience? Right? Not everything. But the specific things you want to get, like the one thing you want to get across in this, okay? And then make sure that comes across really strong. And it's super obvious to Evil Geniuses that that's the point, that they want to know that from your coaching experience. Okay, from your founder and president experience, what's the one thing that you need to get across from this? And even though like you might have, I did meeting development here and I did meeting development here. Maybe you decide to talk about your meeting development here and then talk about your community building here. Right? I don't think that's the right decision, but I'm just trying to get examples quick off my head. And then what do I want to talk about with the IG event coordination? Like what's the one big point I want to get there? Then after you figure all this stuff out and then you're like, okay, this is still like 1.5 pages, then you go and be like, okay, what's really important? What do I need to get across? So it doesn't have to be in chronological or reverse chronological order. Just get your point across and show them like I am good. And you want to talk to, again, not hire, you want to talk to me and do an interview where I can actually talk about like, let me talk to you for 20 minutes about like actually how I ran I am Chicago 2019 and tell you all the things that I did there. Because you just can't fit that in a resume. Again, resume, not to get the job, it's to get you the interview. Yeah, I think Strider makes a good point. You don't need to redo the whole thing. Yeah, because you have some strong points. You just need to expound on them. Like you have, to me, I'm just like, wait, you have this much experience? Like what? Because I don't see it. I'm just like, oh, my first impressions. Whenever I'm like, oh, he's a coach and he's desperately trying to find a job in esports full time because he's coaching an amateur team probably that doesn't make any money and he doesn't get paid. Like I don't know. I'm like, oh, but he's cool. He got some finally, like he accomplished something. That's really cool. Oh, that was like my first impression, which I think is absolutely wrong and doesn't represent you. And that's the thing. Like, you can force a first impression by like having a summary of the two sentences that you want to talk about. Like, I did this and I accomplished this. I worked really, really hard. And I actually have all these things. I like, to me, I'm just like, wow, he actually has more than enough experience when it comes to running something because you've done your own job. You have your own company. I think that's pretty much all I need to say. You have the pleasure of having too much relevant and good experience that you have to figure out what's the most important things to include on your resume. That's what I think. And an exercise I've done when I felt like I had so many different jobs. Now, let's say I don't think I was as qualified. I didn't have as much relevant experience as you do on this resume. But what I've done is like I've opened up a Google Doc and said like this job. These are the 12 things I've done, bullet points that I could like think of for that job. Then I list my second job and the 12 bullet points. And then what happens is like I almost like put it together like a puzzle piece. I'm like, okay, now that I see everything like 4-page document, like I'm gonna put this in here and take this bullet point and this bullet point and like put it together as a puzzle piece and then like take them out. And then after I figure out all my bullet points, I like start to actually wordsmith it so it feels a little more cohesive and like is framed towards the job application. But no, Marshall, I think this is really good. I think you have a well written and very clear and clean resume. It's just like it's written, so I have to read the whole thing and think more about how you would fit rather than you like being like, oh, it's super obvious that like this person would be a good candidate for the job. Yeah, it's so funny because people it's really important for people to have relevant esports experience. Why? Because it's rare and esports is like such I think people see esports as such a different different industry and it's so unique to everything else, which it's not necessarily, I think. People inside esports think that. And therefore, you don't have this esports experience. So your insecurities come up like, oh, I'm not like exactly qualified for it. But you have so much different life experiences that just prove you're able to do it. Now, excuse me. We're all desperate. I'm even desperate and I'm in esports and I have a job. I'm desperate in figuring out how to grow my career. Oh my goodness. What was I talking about? Oh, Evil Geniuses might be looking for that person that has 5 years in community management experience. Oh, thank you for the follow. Infamous MP4. I know who you are. You're an editor of mine. Thank you. Welcome to the Casual Club. What was I gonna say? Evil Geniuses might be looking for that person that has 5 years of community management experience working with 3 different esports orgs, maybe, and they might find that applicant, right? But I will tell you this, like, and you might not have a chance against that, maybe. But I will say, I've heard people talk about this. Let's call him Charles, because I can't think of a Charles, actual Charles that I know. I get a resume, Charles, community manager. Wow, worked at TSM and Collegiate Star League and Golden Guardians. And he's been there a year each or something like that and filled out this stuff. Like, I know this guy because he's been in the esports scene and he is a problem. I hear bad things about him all the time. So, but he's probably the safe choice because he's worked with esports orgs and I don't have to train him. So we're just going to go with him, right? But then I come across Marshall's resume and I'm like, huh. His summary tells me that he's done incredible stuff, but he hasn't had his esports break yet. But he knows his esports things. He's been a coach for Rocket League. He ran an esports club for a year. Like, okay. this guy might be a risky pick because he doesn't have esports experience. But he's done everything we're looking for from a community manager, and he's obviously qualified, but he doesn't have esports experience. So I'm going to call him up and talk to him. And then from there, like, no matter how good your resume is, if you can't do the interview or the interview falls flat, like, that's what sucks. But, like, that's a huge accomplishment, even if you don't get that job. And you might be desperate. You don't come off as desperate. You got so many things going on for you. Yeah, I think this is I think you're a really good candidate. You just have to make sure they know that, right? And it took a bit of digging for me and like back and forth conversation in this stream right now to figure that out. So now you gotta take the advice and the feedback that like I've given you, the chat has given you. You have good stuff. You just have to make sure that it's like so blatantly obvious that they're like, I need a call. Cool. That's awesome to hear. All right. Any other thoughts from chat? Any other questions? Doesn't actually have to be specifically with this resume, but maybe it can go into some other conversations. Because, yeah, I'm pretty much, I think, done with this resume. Otherwise, I got like an hour and a half of stream time left. I gotta get lunch at 11. It's 9:40 right now. I got so much time. And I don't have other resumes. I was supposed to get one more resume in, but he didn't send it in time. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that it helped. This is a cool resume. Okay, so in the meantime, what I want to do. Let's look at this. Let's just start looking. I want to look at different job postings. Yeah, this might be relevant to someone, huh? Oh no, post-production. Cool. And this VOD will be saved. I'll eventually make a YouTube video of this, but I'm guessing since you're already here, you're gonna get everything you needed out of this stream. Hopefully the YouTube video will help someone else. Managing resource the team of editors, ensure standardization, production, coordinate, project coordinate, maintain daily. Okay, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. We do not. Now, yeah, I'm wrong. We do not have an internship program. I think we've hired interns. I don't know how that goes. I'm not involved in that. However, the Golden State Warriors do have an internship program, but that's not specifically for esports, and I don't know if we get any interns through into the esports funnel or the Golden Guardians funnel or the Warriors Gaming Squad funnel through the Warriors. Oh yeah, I want to just see what jobs are on Hitmarker and just like go through and think about. Yeah, so the next thing I want to do, I'll be answering questions. Yeah, in chat, if you have any questions, you want to talk about things, let me know. I have this like notepad of things that I could like talk about, or just like ideas that I have in my head. I didn't really plan super well for this stream. So if any of these sound interesting, you can always ask. But I think right now this is what I'm kind of doing, reacting to job postings. So what I'm gonna do, I have hitmarker.net open. I was an affiliate. I think that time has expired. I had a link in like my YouTube description that like I'd get a kickback for everyone that signed up and created a new job. I don't know if that's still running, but that's not why I'm doing this. I think Hitmarker is one of the places where like you could see a lot of job postings. I think it's really, really good if you're one of those people that have no esports experience and want to look for positions, volunteer positions. Because I think I've had success using Hitmarker in the past of looking for those random job volunteer positions. That was like a few years ago. Things might have changed. I know Hitmarker has spent time doing more quality assurance that the job postings are like legit, because there's a lot of 16-year-olds posting because they're starting their own esports team and looking for all these positions to fill out their team. So I found some like good experiences and bad experiences on Hitmarker myself. That being said, it helped me learn a lot, and it helped me. I think it's really good taking those volunteer experiences if you're like, I want to get into esports and I have no idea what to do, because then you can be like, I'm gonna apply to a social media position that has 2 other applicants, and then I'm gonna talk to them, convince them in the interview, or if they even have an interview, and then I'm gonna go through it, and I'm gonna realize I hate social media, or I hate team management, or I hate video editing. Like, this is perfect for that. But I think there's a lot more bigger jobs and more legit jobs or more paid jobs on Hitmarker now since I've been looking at it. Let's just look at esports. Let's look at entry level. What's going on? HR intern at Hi-Rez. Okay, that's legit. Hi-Rez, they do Smite and other games. So there's an internship if you're looking for human resources. I wonder what that looks like. Close this. For the fall to work remote, part-time paid, seasonal employee. Apply by the 31st. Work alongside members of human resources. Roll 2.5 higher. Okay, so this is a pretty simple one. I think this is a good job for anyone that's doing HR. I think this is a totally attainable job. What else is here? League of Legends writer. Okay, so, oh, it's interesting. It's paid, which is nice. Paid, not bad. If you're getting $100 a day, that's not bad. I wonder how legit that it actually is. Gaming Collective. Who is it? So whenever I look at this, I always check out like, who is this? And what worries me is that these guys have no. They don't have like their own profile, company profile, so I can't check out their. Gaming Collective. Is this them? I don't think so. So already it's too hard to figure out. So this is one of those that I'm a little worried about, but maybe it's okay. You listen to analyst discussion plays, well-rounded writer, esports articles, up-and-coming esports writing platform. This is cool. I have a friend that should be applying for this. I wonder if he knows it exists. What else is on here? You know what? I'm gonna turn on some music. It's a little quiet. I don't think I'm gonna use this for YouTube. I'm a little bored already of what I'm talking about. We gotta find some spicy jobs or something. We go through Hitmarker every day. Unfortunately, the position is really irrelevant to me. Yeah, so for you, because you already kind of have a career, although I don't know if you want to stick in that. Like, you can always set up alerts and filters, so it won't take as much time. For you, I would actually look in, because you do broadcast stuff, and let's say you want to still stay in broadcast stuff. Let's say you want to stay in broadcast. You can just search like this, and maybe you can find stuff that aren't necessarily in esports to gain more. Let's say you want to be a videographer, for example. You could probably find plenty of video stuff. I think LinkedIn is really, really good outside of esports. I think it's good for any media company. I think those, like, companies besides esports companies are posting on LinkedIn. That being said, I think Cloud9 posts a lot on LinkedIn too. They don't have anything. I've seen them post on LinkedIn. I think I've also seen them post on LinkedIn immediately, and they've already closed the job application by the time it got on LinkedIn, which is really, really lame. TX Racer. So this is cool. It's in Michigan too. It's hard to find stuff that are outside the West Coast, LA, New York City, those kind of things. Full time. Develop and implement Manage a social media strategy. Define most important social KPI. Manage and oversee social media content. Measure success. Stay up to date. Attend events. Share content. This seems legit. This is cool. It's a really good entry level position. Ooh, content creator / influencer. All right. I gotta up my LinkedIn actually. What's my profile look like? I think I looked at it last stream. It was pretty subpar. This whole thing has nothing in here. But I'm not really focused on looking for a job. A lot of engineering stuff. Yeah, I gotta figure out how I want to actually do my LinkedIn profile. You want me to review your LinkedIn? Sure. Let's do it. You just... Oh, what am I doing? Observer, associate observer at Riot Games. I don't know. About between academic pursuits, past extracurricular experiences, competing in amateur and collegiate esports, and 10 years of traditional team sports, I've become a very capable guiding, following, and providing, as well as receiving criticism. Okay, so I think this about needs a little bit of work. In addition, I'm enthusiastically motivated to be a better person within me. In a team environment, I peacefully seek understanding through logical discussions and are very willing to accept and improve upon the mistakes. Okay, so right now, this just tells me a little bit about like the kind of person you are, which isn't bad, but I think it doesn't tell me much about like your career and what your goals are and what your skill set is. It tells me that like, oh, you're like introspective, you work hard on bettering yourself, you're motivated, you're positive, but a lot of people can just say that, right? So that doesn't really hit me as much. Especially this first sentence, between academic pursuits and here, let me turn this off. I'm distracted now. Between academic pursuits, past extracurricular. Oh, actually, am I zoomed in enough? Can you read this? Maybe I need to zoom in more. I think that's better. Because this is like a huge introduction, and then this is the payoff. So because of all these experiences I have, you become very capable. Guiding, following, providing. So all this makes you good at receiving criticism. That's what the sentence says. That's a little odd to me. By the way, I eventually want to watch this, and when I get around to updating my LinkedIn, this guy, where? Okay, he hasn't done it on his YouTube yet. Let's find his. He's been going through, instead of resume reviews, he's been doing LinkedIn reviews. Where's his Twitch stream? Come on, Ethan Evans, VP of Twitch. Where is it in your description? Yeah, so you can. Oh, actually, maybe that's not it. Wow, that's loud. Oh my gosh. Okay, so probably here or here is. I see he's going through. I saw a LinkedIn profile there. You see one here too. So maybe going through his VODs, you can find LinkedIn profile stuff. I need to do that. I really want to. Oh, was it in the description? Did I just miss it? Oh shoot.
Here's another really. What should I do?
Wait, sorry, I'm just clicking so much. Videos. Let's look at the latest video. I just totally missed this Twitch link. Twitter, Twitch. I'm dumb. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so I think the wording needs to be fixed here. I think you need to say, let's look at Ethan Evans, huh? Let's see what we can learn from him just right off the bat. If you don't know who Ethan Evans is, he runs like Twitch Prime stuff. He's a VP at Amazon. All right. Successful technology executive and general manager. I've led, so right there, you know what he does, what he's accomplished. I've led teams of over 800 plus and multiple P&Ls. Don't know what that products and not sure what that is, but it probably makes sense to the people that are looking at his LinkedIn. Of 500 plus million. Over 20 years leading across games, apps, videos, and music to deliver revolutionary new products, including starting both Amazon Video, now Prime Video, and Twitch Prime. I'm a hands-on leader and have been issued 60 plus patents as a result of inventions made while leading these teams. In parallel, I am passionate about mentoring and development, leading me to start a lot to scale my coaching impact. My expertise is building the team that ships. Hiring methodology project. Okay, so what I'm seeing from this is he's saying what he's done, like what he does, I mean, right? Technology executive general manager. He's talked about multiple accomplishments that he's had, big numbers, like so he's successful. Then he's talked about like his career and his accomplishments and plugged in the big accomplishments, Twitch Prime, Prime Video. Again, more flexing. This is a list of flexing, right? And then he also talks about like his passions, right? So he's talking about career development, the kind of person he is right here. So this is not personality driven at all, this part. Then personality, what he's passionate about, and also maybe like hire me if you need teams to execute kind of thing, or contact me if you need these. I feel like this isn't wordsmithed very well. It's not pretty, but it's a job done. I feel like you could. I know I expanded it, like I had to show more. So maybe I wouldn't want to like do like spaces in between and like sections of it. But I don't know, maybe like going to someone's LinkedIn profile, you're planning on spending time there versus like a resume. I'm not really sure. Again, I don't know LinkedIn well. Might know it better than some of you guys though. Don't know. Okay, so going back to yours, I think talking about what you do, then talking about what you've accomplished through all this kind of stuff. You don't need this huge like introduction about like your experience. You could just talk about like what you've accomplished. I think this stuff needs to be cut when you're talking about like your personality and who you are, because I don't think it adds to your profile. This sounds more like a Tinder profile to me or something. I don't know. I've never used Tinder. It's just telling me like, oh, well, I like this guy or not, rather than like, what can he accomplish? Wow, you've done a lot of observer work. TA, observer. Let's see, what have you done observing for? Super League, All Stars, League. Okay, League of Legends. Replays. Or PUBG, mobile. Gotcha. And observers are mostly like contract positions or freelance stuff, right? It's not like I'm a full-time observer. At least I think that's what you said with Riot Games. It's not like a full-time observer position. And I don't know if anyone does, but maybe it's like the magic position is where you can do like observing for, I don't know, 20 hours a week, and the other 20 you're working on content or helping broadcast production and planning. I'm not really exactly sure. This is a totally different place than I'm used to. Yeah, so I would think about like putting like talk about your observer experience and like the skills that you have for that, and some accomplishments. Like I observed Worlds 2018 to 2020 for the LoL esports, something like that, like League of Legends esports. Done countless things. Then talk about like goals, like hey, I'm like these are my skills and these are my goals. Like I'm like looking for more opportunity, maybe not looking for more opportunities, but like how does he talk about it? Yeah, maybe something to hint there, like what kind of work you're looking for or what you're trying to expand to. I think that would be the way to do it. Probably this experience section, these bullet points, there are probably ways to wordsmith things better. Maybe look at job descriptions and figure out like how these things solve those job description requirements. The same like resume kind of advice. Maybe you should go to LEC. Coordinate with writers doing the editing. So coordinate with, I would like even just this, coordinate with editors to collect and deliver in-game footage in a timely fashion. Staying in sync with the evolving game, constantly brain loading the newest past information. Player trades, flavors of the month, I'll inform you. Yeah, so staying up to the game. This is a weird sentence. Tweet and Twitch are not the same tense. This is a noun, proper noun. This is a action. And yeah. So there's some grammatical thing here to fix. Yeah. But I think the biggest impact you'll have is just like fixing this about. Any other specific questions you have? Anyone in chat? Anything you want to talk about? Oh. You know what? Infamous, since you're in here, you might still be here. I don't know. One thing I wanted to talk about is this one. The latest way to get set, you can set up your editing portfolio and still get a job. I'm not saying you're guilty of this or anything. One thing that I go through a lot of, what is it? I go through a lot of resumes, or sorry, applications for video edits. What I like to do is be like, hey, I'm looking for someone that does this, this, and this, right? So recently I asked for like, hey, I'm looking for someone that knows Leak Director Tool and After Effects. And then I got some DMs and stuff. I said, send me a portfolio. What I want to do, like when I'm hiring for specific projects, if you're a video editor, is I want to see exactly what you're giving me. Like I want to see exactly what I'm hiring for. Show me that you've done it, right? And if it's split up into like multiple videos, yeah, what up, Broken Torah? If it's split up into multiple videos, I want to see it, those 2 videos or 3 videos, right? What I keep seeing is people sending me their website, which has too many videos on it. What I keep seeing is their YouTube playlist, which has 200 videos in it. Instead, if you're really lazy and you're a video editor, I want you to be like, hey, here's a playlist of 2 videos that will show if I'm qualified or not. I think it's a really lazy thing to do instead of setting up a website and portfolio, but it would work so well. It worked so well. Ah, okay. I knew it was someone from Broken. I just wasn't sure which one. That's Lance. What's up, Lance? I took a few business courses in college that required us to make a LinkedIn profile, and that was a generic about page I made my freshman year. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, actually, there's one thing I want to do. And since we're still on the topic of like improving applications and resumes, Jason Lake. I wanted to watch this and go through things, go through comments, figure out questions that are coming up from this. And maybe if you haven't watched it, might be helpful. Maybe we could skip through. If you don't know who Jason Lake is, founder of Complexity. He's been in esports for a while. Cool guy. I really like this video he did.
I've done some writing on it on my Facebook, sitting down and running my own kids kind of through my thoughts on landing a job.
And again, at any time, interrupt. We could talk about questions that you have. After Effects free to use. Nope. After Effects is not free to use. Adobe. Oh! You know, with all this COVID stuff, all these companies were changing things up. Maybe there is a freer version, or maybe there's a longer trial. But as far as I know, it's not free to use. It's part of Adobe's subscription plan. It is on sale right now. Wow, $40 a month. Holy crap. That's so cheap. So yeah, I pay for this every month, and it's $53 that I pay every month to get everything in Creative Cloud. But yeah, if you just want an After Effects, which is kind of, you'd probably want Premiere and After Effects, so that's why you just get all apps. Although I'm curious to like how long the special offer lasts for. Wait, offer ends July 17th? Oh, you can't see the date. It's the 18th. You could do the annual plan. Yeah, that's a lot. It adds up.
In esports, so let's get right to it here.
Yeah, Lance, you should totally send a resume. If you want to send a resume, send me like a DM or a link or something. I mean, we're also on Discord. A PDF is preferred, and censor out any information you don't want on there. I can do it. Not a problem.
See, I even put a nice picture up here. Everyone wants to jump right into, you know, where do I email or who do I call?
Oh no!
Or can you give me
covering up his face?
You know, reference and you know, call some of your friends or whatever. I think we need to start with perspective.
Maybe here.
You'll see it, by the way. I have some notes up right under the camera because I have a lot of points I want to hit. So if I'm not looking at the camera, I'm a noob right here.
It's fine, Jason Lake.
So
just talk.
Perspective. The fact that you're passionate about esports isn't a golden key. It's only the beginning. Passion isn't a magic elixir. It's only the start, and most everyone has it that tries to come into the space. You have to remember, it's not about what you want. It's about what I need. Me being the hiring manager or the CEO or the person at a larger company that's kind of tasked with filling a certain position. It's not about what you want. People always hit me up. It's just like, I want to learn this, or I want to be in esports, or I want to. It's like, not to be mean, but it doesn't matter what you want. It matters what I need.
Okay, so this is huge, right? And I think this advice comes into play in your cover letters, in cold DMs, in interviews. Like, it's a business. We have problems that we need to solve. And it's not about getting you the experience when you're like just looking for it, right? The one thing I've started to really dislike is when I get cold DMs that are just like, hey, like, I really care about esports. I'm passionate, just like all the things he's saying. And then it's just like, hey, what can I do? It's like, you're making more work for me. You're asking me to do the hard work for you when it comes to how to shape your esports career, right? So being passionate about esports is not enough, but being passionate about community management, being passionate about social media, being passionate about content creation, like those things I can work with. And maybe we have something we can align with. It's like, oh, you're a content creator. I'm looking for a series that's called if LCS was an anime. Like does that make any sense to you? And like, what can you do with that? Or can you take that and run with it? Like those kind of things. But yeah, you got to think about, and I think this is huge when you're able to cold call people and you're be able to like, let's say Evil Geniuses wasn't looking for an event organizer, right? But you want to do an event organization for them, and you see Riot's announcement that they are gonna let organizations run TFT tournaments. Suddenly you DM Evil Geniuses and you're like, hey, here's a pitch deck, 10-page pitch deck of like how I think you could run a TFT how I can run a TFT event for you. Oh, my little puppy's over here. Right here. Neighbors. Hi. That's how you get a job when you do something like that. I think that's a huge deal.
And once
So yeah, if you're able to think in that way, like how you can benefit an organization, that makes a huge difference rather than like, hey, help me out with the job.
get that perspective and you understand that, that's a good first step. You have to understand that employers are overwhelmed with applications. You got, as a person that wants a job in esports, put yourself in my shoes, okay? What are my goals? What are my challenges and what are my needs as the person that's selecting who to hire?
Yep.
How is hiring you going to help me achieve my need?
Let's skip around.
Anything else?
Let's go to the next page.
You have to understand, but encompassing overview of what. Be a positive, optimistic person. And I know some of these things are basic, right?
Attitude. Is there much to talk about attitude right now? Be a positive person. Be a good person. Be a team player. Okay, actually, there's one thing I want to talk about with this attitude stuff. If you guys aren't aware what esports looks like, it's really fast paced, right? And it's really interesting because the money around it is no one is profitable in esports except a few companies, right? A few esports orgs. So when it comes down to things, especially if you're coming from a professional environment and then switching over to esports, things are very like still grassroots. Like even LCS teams that have a lot of money, things feel still very grassroots. So what that means is like you have a lot of people that are still maybe underqualified compared to their traditional sport or different industry counterparts. You see people that are really smart and good, but just like not polished yet. People that really understand like communities or marketing, but don't have that degree or don't have that professional business environment and don't know how to communicate with clients like as effectively as like someone that's working in marketing at Google or an agency, those kind of things. Really? Is that true? That's crazy. That's so good to hear. I'm so happy to hear LCS is profitable. That is, I don't know that. I don't know the business side of things. That's incredible. I'd also say, okay. So with that, things are just really fast. Like I get projects that land on my desk. Say, hey, there's a TFT tournament tomorrow. What? How did we not know about this? Everyone's busy and it just falls through the crack. So I think that kind of stuff, when things just come out of nowhere and you randomly have to work an extra hour or like you realize you have to work a weekend or you have to cover, like this week I covered for a social media person because they were out for a week and a half or something like that. And therefore I had to work like the weekends and this week while not lowering the amount of work I had to do this week from like editing and managing player channels and all that kind of stuff. Now things have to be sacrificed there because I'm not okay at this point in my life working 80 hours a week or 60-hour weeks often. I have a family, I'm older, I have a doggy that keeps whining to get some attention. So that's just not something I'm necessarily willing to do. Which, if you're in your 20s and you don't necessarily have a life out of like your hustle and career, like, oh my gosh, you can accomplish so. Oh yes, I love you too. You can accomplish so much. Like if I had 60 hours a week, like unemployed and just grinding, like I'd be starting multiple YouTube channels. I could be starting a podcast. I could do so many things and explore so many opportunities, even freelancing, doing more work. But I'm in a state of my life where I'm not really willing to do that, and I'm more focused on my career growth and development in climbing and being able to do more work that might be more managerial, that I don't have to work 50 hours a week. I could work 40. I could work remotely. I could have a baby and work in the office 2 days a week. Like those kind of things. That's like where I'm starting to think about my career development. But if you're in your 20s, and this is general advice, right? It doesn't fit everyone's, but you can do some crazy work and get some crazy experience if you just hustle, which I did. But yeah, attitude. So like it was really cool because my boss even said to me yesterday, like, hey, thank you so much for stepping up and filling in those shoes and like doing it so positively. I hear that a lot, even from my coworkers and my boss, and even people that I've worked with, like Travis and Weldon. They're just like, hey, your attitude and your willingness to help and your understanding and your grit is always like really good, and it affects people. A bad apple can ruin the whole bunch. Wow, I just totally butchered that saying. Yes, Tibbers, I love you too. Thank you. It really does affect things, and I've seen this in multiple work environments. So this is not just even esports, and I'm not blaming Golden Guardians or anything, because I think Golden Guardians work environment is really great. But when someone has a bad attitude, it's really contagious, and when someone has a good attitude, it's really contagious.
Get into a company, you're not entitled to anything. I don't owe you anything. And if you're coming in all arrogant, it's going to backfire. Confident, yes, we'll get to that later. But arrogant, no.
I had story time. I had the worst experience ever working with a freelancer this year. I was looking for a freelancer to do a video edit, and it was required some multiple revisions and some feedback that they didn't like, and slow communications because just juggling a lot of things. And this person basically, after I said, hey, thank you, here's payment for your trial period, but we decided to go elsewhere, they like pretty much told me to F off. And I was like, whoa. And I like to think I took the higher road. I'm like, hey, I still appreciate everything you did. You should be careful with how you deal with like just some feedback. Like, these are the reasons why we decided not to work with you, and you should really be careful about burning bridges. And he's like, oh, I didn't need you anyway. I didn't want to do this. The YouTube channel sucks, blah, blah. I was like, oh, you're so screwed. I'm not going like out to like witch hunt either, but I just know, like, if someone asks me like, hey, I ran into this person doing some video edits, what do you think about them? Like, I'd be like, no, don't work with them. I wouldn't want to work with them because this is what they did to me. Attitude is really important.
I wrote something in a previous article I wrote, and
this is kind of boring. I don't know what to do anymore today. So, you know what I'm going to do? I want to stream for a little longer. I want to play some League. Whether you guys want to stick around for that, you can if you want. I'll still answer questions. But I'm just kind of bored. I don't have enough resume stuff to go over. Good look at my old resumes. I did the last time. But I need to prep for that a little bit more, because I have way too many resumes and I don't want to just click on random ones. I'm just going to play a ranked game of League. This is one game. I've been on a winning streak. It's kind of crazy. I'm like... Turn the music back on. I haven't been playing much either, but this is my match history. 8 days ago, I played Brand. Win, win. And then before that, I played a few ARAMs, and then I didn't play a month ago, pretty much. And then 7 days ago, so the day after, I played a game and won. And then 2 days ago, I jumped into rank, played a game. That was spicy. 9, 11, 15. But yeah, for all those that you're gonna leave, because this isn't exactly what you're gonna go for. Oh, thank you, Ibermonkey. Thank you so much for stopping by. And have fun with. Good job with or good luck with the rehearsal, man. Always playing Evelyn. Or banning Evelyn. How do I change my... I don't know how to change the game or category I'm on streaming to.